Shalom, shalom, shalom. You already know what's going on. Your brother D the messenger, man. And we got bigger fish to fry, you and I. So in all fairness, I'm spreading awareness. Ain't got no time to be careless. You see that? She pursuing you so she can ruin you. And one thing I could tell you, the Most High never fails. So if you got him, you ain't got to worry about them. You see that? But let's get into it, man. Jezebel, daughter of Baal. And so I had it up, right? But it was all over the place. I had the backdrop hanging over the scripts. I didn't have a PowerPoint. And I was like, man, I can't do the work of the Lord like this, right? This is too sloppy. So I went on and put the PowerPoint together so we can do it the right way. So without further ado, we're going to get straight to it, man. And I ain't trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. Like I said, we got bigger fish to fry, you and I. We in the last days, and the Most High turning whole houses into ashtrays. You see that? And shit, we just trying to do what we can to put together a plan. But we need the money. You see that? Can't do it without no money. Can't do nothing without no money. So we gotta stay prayed up while we laid up. We know the Most High gonna make sure we good. And that's understood. So, you gotta do your part. If you're smart, you'll do your part. You see that? Jezebel, daughter of Baal. Let's get to it. Alright, we're going to start at 1 Kings 16:31. And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing, for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Baal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. Now, who is the he? It's Ahab, right? Ahab and Jezebel. It's a power couple in their own mind, right? In their own time, right? You had a princess, daughter of Baal, king of the Zidonians, right? And you had one of the kings of the Israelites, Ahab. Zidonians are Canaanites, right? The Most High told us don't deal with the Canaanites. Let's go to the next slide. This is 1 Kings 11:1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Now we know King Solomon was out of pocket for having an Edomite wife, right? And the Zidonian wife. Because as I said, Zidonians are Canaanites, right? The Most High told us don't deal with the Canaanites. The Canaanites was cursed, right? Cursed be Canaan, servant of a servant. Remember that? Canaanites is off limits, man. Let's go to 1 Kings 11:5. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Right? Who is this Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, right? And we got to do some extra homework on the Zidonians because I'm saying that they Canaanites. But how do you know that, right? I could just be saying anything. Now, when it come to Ashtaroth, this is her, right? I started it off with Ashtaroth. Because Jezebel, her whole thing is being a princess, right, to the king of Baal, which they hold, basically their whole kingdom is all about Baal, right? King of Baal has Baal in his name. Jezebel has Baal in her name. And if you look at their names, they both they both go back to Baal. right? I think Jezebel means hell Baal, or Baal exalted, right? So let's look at Ashtaroth and let's look at the Zidonians. We're gonna go to the blue letter and we're gonna look at 1 Kings 11 and 5 because I want you to see it for yourself. So 1 Kings 11 and 5. And we want to look at the Zidonians and we want to look at Ashtaroth. Who is Ashtaroth, right? Who is Ashtaroth? Let's look at the Strongs. Well, we got to go to the KJV to do that, right? All right, we in the KJV. Let's bring out the Strongs. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth. Let's see who this Ashtaroth is, right?
Strong's H 6253.
Ashtoreth, right? Outline biblical usage. Star, the principal deity of the Phoenicians, worshipped in war and fertility. That's sex and violence, right? So far, we got sex and violence. A principal deity, a principal female deity, right? This is why our sisters are in love with Ashtaroth. And sex and violence. A female deity of the Phoenicians worshipped in war and fertility. Also, Ishtar of Assyria, that's interesting. Ashtar by the Greeks and Romans. You see that? So she is who we thought she was, right? Ashtaroth, the Phoenician goddess of love and increase. You see that? So, violence, sex, and money. A Phoenician goddess of love and increase. That's Ashtaroth. You see that? Violence, sex, and money. Those are her functions. Let's look at the Zidonians. Right? And that's interesting, right? Because when I say Ashtaroth is a major player in today's culture, it's bigger than just Jezebel, right? Because we're going to deal with Jezebel and the curse of Jezebel and the spirit of Jezebel. But Ashtaroth, I think, is a bigger fish, right? It's a bigger player in this. Zidonians, them of Zidon, right? Them of Zidon. So they come from Zidon. Who is them of Zidon? Let's look at that. Them of Zidon. Zidonians means hunter, hunting. So the Zidonians are hunters, right? The Zidonians are hunters. Zidon. Zidonians. Of Sidon. Sometimes they spell it with an S, sometimes with a Z, right? They not giving us that much information on the Zidon, on the Zidonians. I just want you to see that they are Canaanites. It's basically what I want you to see. So can we look this up? Let's bring it in a new tab. Okay. Are Zidonians Canaanites? Are the Zidonians Canaanites? Yes, Zidonians are considered Canaanites. According to the biblical accounts, the Zidonians are descendants of Canaan, right? And I just want y'all to see that. We're going to look at that some more because I'm pretty sure I got it in these slides. So we know who Ashtaroth is, right? She's the goddess of violence, sex, and money, right? Um, Violence, sex, and money. And let's make sure we didn't miss nothing. Because I did see some about Venus. Or at least I thought I did. Goddess of love and increase. Worship and war and fertility. Right? So we ain't gonna spend too much time on that, right? That's enough. That's wicked enough, right? Is that wicked enough for y'all? It's wicked enough for me, right? But we see that's the spirit that's here in America, right? The high level occultists, they know about Ashtaroth and all of her other nicknames, right? It's more about Baal. If you see the Epstein files, you'll see Baal there. You'll see the Canaanites there. You'll see Ashtaroth or Ishtar there, right? So these spirits is real. So for Solomon, um, he was ahead of his time in this thing. And a lot of the secret societies we know go after what Solomon possessed, right? What he had in his possession or under his throne. And if you know, you know. 1 Kings 11:5. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Mithcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Alright, how did we get here? Who is Ashtaroth and who are the Zidonians? I think we just dealt with that, right? First Chronicles 1:13. And Canaan begot Zidon, his firstborn, and Heth. Right? So we seen that in the scriptures. We seen it on Google, right? Because I know Google mean a lot to some of y'all. Now we seen it on scriptures, you know. So the Zidonians come from the Canaanites, as I said, right? Ezra 3:7. They gave money also unto the masons and to the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto them of Zidon, and to them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant that they had of Cyrus, king of Persia. You see that? So we had dealings with the Zidonians or the Canaanites way after we were told not to. If I'm not mistaken, we was told to kill all the Canaanites, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Let's keep going. Genesis 24:3. And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. So this is Abraham, right? Making his servants promise him that they would not let Isaac marry a Canaanite. You see that? Abraham didn't want us to deal with the Canaanites. And he tried to warn us, right? Moses tried to warn us. Everybody tried to warn us. So for Solomon, before Solomon got here, right? Before Solomon even got here, he was warned. This First King, this is way after the wilderness, way after, Moses. It's way after Abraham, right? Genesis 24:3. And I will make thee swear by God. And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom we dwelt, among whom I dwell, but we dwelt. First thing Esau did was go get a Canaanite wife. Wicked. Deuteronomy 7:3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, and nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. I'm going to read that again. That wasn't clean. Deuteronomy 7:3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. This is talking about the Canaanites, right? And let's get that 7:2, just so you know I ain't bamboozling you, right? Because they all about context these days. So we want to have things be in the proper context. Deuteronomy 7:3. We want 7:2, 7:1, so we can get the full context. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Gergesites and the Amorites and the Canaanites. You see that? And if you jump down, and the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, right? Now give them meat and wine and oil and drink like we just seen in the scriptures. The Most High told us don't do that. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, no show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. That's where we at on the slide. I just wanted y'all to see that. Alright. 7:4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. You see that? So you see the Canaanites were named among those names, right? And let's take another look at these names. The Canaanites stand out. You see that? Because we got King Solomon. He's deciding, I'm going to go ahead and get me a Canaanite, man. You had Esau do it from the jump. I'm going to go get me a Canaanite, man. We seen Judah do it. You see? So, the Canaanites, man. They slipped through the crack. Alright, let's keep going. Deuteronomy 20:17. But thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. Now the Most High telling us right here in Deuteronomy 20:17 to destroy them, like I just said earlier. The Most High told us to get them out of here. What we doing in the time of Ezra? Ezra 3:7, they gave money also unto the masons and to the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto them of Zidon. Wicked, disobedient ass niggas, right? And I can say niggas because this Bible is dealing with nothing but niggas. Let me go to Acts 13:1 just in case you didn't know, right? Let's bring that out. Acts 13:1. And when I say niggas, I mean niggas. You see that?
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
Nigger. What does nigger mean? It means black. You see that? Right here in the Bible. Nigger. So, pardon me, respectfully, but these are some hard-headed niggas. You see that? Deuteronomy 20:17. But thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God have commanded thee. Right? Didn't listen. Still don't listen today. Ezekiel 28:21. Son of man, set thy face against Zidon and prophesied against it. See? See that? Ezekiel 28:22. And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Zidon, and I will be glorified in the midst of thee. And they shall know that I am the Lord, when I shall have executed judgments in her, and shall be sanctified in her. You see that? Don't sound too good for Zidon. Don't sound too good for the Canaanite. Let's go to Isaiah 23:12. And he said, thou shalt no more rejoice, O thou oppressed virgin, daughter of Zidon. Arise, pass over to Chittim. There also shall thou have no rest. You see that? So the Most High then gave the Zidonians over to Esau. You see that? Because if you're going to Chittim, you in for a rude awakening, good brother. You see that? There also shall thou have no rest. And we know from experience that that's not no flex. You shall have no rest. Judges 10:11. And the Lord said unto the children of Israel, did not I deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines? Verse 12. The Zidonians also, and the Amalekites. See him, he was back with Esau. They together on this. That's crazy. Judges 10:12. The Zidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Maonites. The Maonites did oppress you, and ye cried to me, and I delivered you out of their hand. You see that? So they oppressed us, even after we did good business with them. Our king took one of their women as a wife. You see that? We done been keeping them afloat, even though the Most High told us to utterly destroy them. You see that? Let's keep going. It's 2nd Baruch 62:2. And if you ain't got 2nd Baruch, that's on you. You need to go get that. Get you a Sefer, right? Sefer got all the books in there that's supposed to be in there. But shout out to Baruch, Jeremiah gang. We in here. 2nd Baruch 62:2. And all the inequities accomplished by the kings who succeeded him. It's talking about Jeroboam. Verse 3. And the curse of Jezebel. You see that? And the curse of Jezebel, and the idolatry which Israel practiced at that time. Verse 4. And the withholding of rain, and the famines of such a kind that the women, not the men, that the women ate the fruits of their womb. Now, how is something like that possible? Her, Ashtaroth, the goddess of violence, sex, and money, right? That's how that's possible. The curse of Jezebel. You see that? The curse of Jezebel is how that's possible, right? And you don't see the men eating the fruit of the womb. You see the women eating the fruit of the womb. And the withholding of rain, which we know this happened during the time of Elijah, right? And the withholding of rain, and the famines of such a kind that the women ate the fruits of their womb. Now, we did the cannibalism piece, and it was the same thing, right? The Hamites said that they started doing that because of the famine. They had nothing else to eat. And that could very much have been Zidonians as well, right? Because we know Canaanites come from where? They come from Ham. They are the children of Ham. You see that? Let's keep going. This is, okay, just a note here. Remember the Most High cursed the Canaanites and warned us not to make marriages with them? Absolutely, I read that verse. Deuteronomy 7:3, 7:4, right? But this is some more. Genesis 9:25, it says, and he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servant shall he be unto his brethren, right? Absolutely, the Most High cursed Canaan, right? Cursed the Canaanites, for we even got at the very beginning, Genesis 9, right? For we even, you see, so Abraham was wise saying, don't marry them. Take Isaac somewhere else. You see that? They were wise to tell us, don't marry the Canaanites. Jacob and Esau was told this, right, by their mother and father. Did they listen? No. Neither one of them. Well, Jake did listen, right, but his kids didn't. Jezebel and Ahab, twin flames going in chains. You see that? These twin flames are going in chains. 1 Kings 19:1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. You see that? A vigilante in his own right. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain the prophets with the sword. Now, I criticize Jezebel for being all in Ahab's business, but see here in this verse, Ahab put her in the business. You see that? Verse 2. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, and saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. So she's sending threats to Elijah, to a man of the Lord, who didn't die, right? Elijah was lit, just like Enoch. Just like Enoch, he didn't die. You see that? He didn't die. 1 Kings 21:7. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, doest thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. So Ahab wanted this vineyard, but the nigga wouldn't sell it to him, right? Instead of just taking it on the chin and, accepting it for what it is, he done went and told his wife about it, right? Her being who she is, any opportunity to be wicked, she want to go kick it. You see that? And so she done, she did the unthinkable. Let's go to 1 Kings 21:23. And of Jezebel also spake the Lord, saying, the dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. And this happened exactly how he said it was going to happen. As everything else that he said hasn't happened the way he said it was going to happen. Absolutely 100%. They ate her by the wall of Jezreel, right? 1 Kings 21:25. But there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of the Lord, whom Jezebel his wife stirred up. You see that? She put a battery in his back. And that's what Jezebel does. If you look at the sisters who got this spirit on them, they stir niggas up all day long. Half of the niggas that's going to jail tonight is going to jail because of Jezebel. Right? Let's keep going. I brought this out to Sefer. Right? This is 3rd Ezra or 1st Esdras. Right? Depending on what Bible you got. And I'll explain that when I read the bottom. It says, yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes. That's Ahab today, right? Jezebel, his wife, stirred him up. You damn near a slave. She controlling you, gang. All right. Now this is third Ezra in the Sefer, and it says at the bottom, right? These are notes from D the Messenger, myself, right? Third Ezra and first Ezra is the same thing. The Septuagint and the Vulgate had some differences. They were never resolved, but they are both chapter 4, verse 26, right? So if you got the KJV Apocrypha, it's first Esdras. If you have the Sefer Bible, it's third Ezra, right? Because Ezra and Esdras is the same person. You know, when you get over to the Greek translations of everything, which would be, you know, a lot of the stuff that we have, a lot of the newer writings, right? They coming through the Greek translation. So most of the copies of Ezra or Esdras is Greek. That's why you see first Esdras, second Esdras, and not third Ezra, fourth Ezra, right? But that's another conversation for another day. Let's keep going. 2 Kings 9:22, and we almost through. It says, and it came to pass when Joram saw Jehu that he said, is it peace, Jehu? And he answered, what peace, so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many. So that's what we got to understand. Jezebel is the daughter of Baal, right? A princess in the kingdom of the Zidonians. She worshiped Baal and Ashtaroth in a major way, right? And is witchcraft. You know, the worship of Baal and the worship of the gods, as she said earlier. She swore to the gods, because it's more than just one god. It's like a whole pantheon over there. And they do different rituals and different sacrifices for their gods. It's witchcraft. It's sorcery. It's abominable, right? And none of our kings should be dealing with this. Ahab was out of pocket. 2 Kings 9:30. And when Jehu was to come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out a window, right? Because she thinking that, just like all the other Jezebels, thinking that they fine enough to change something, that they pussy can get them out of their problems. You see that? But your pussy will perish with you in hell, like my brother from Africa said. You see that? Let me see if I can pull that up. Can I pull that up? Your pussy will perish with you in hell. There you go.
Perish with you in hell.
I had it on
May
mute.
your pussy perish with you.
Let
Your
me rewind
pussy.
it.
Hey, bring the camera. Your pussy. Hey, bring the camera, son. Bring the camera. All the young girls who want to make life with pussy, your pussy will perish with you in hell. May your pussy perish with you. May your smooth pussy, creamy pussy, and tight pussy perish with you.
Shout out to that boy Ham, man. Nah, he might be Jake. Let me cut that out. But yeah, man, it's gonna perish with you in hell. That's what you saying right here. 2 Kings 9:30. It says, and when Jehu was to come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out the window. But you heard what he just said. Your pussy gonna perish with you in hell, man. Ezekiel 32:39. There is Edom, her kings, and all her princes, which with their might are laid by them that were slain by the sword. They shall lie with the uncircumcised, and with them that go down to the pit. Right? You see that? That's Esau, the Canaanites, all of them going down there together to the pit with the fallen. Verse 30. There be the princes of the north, all of them, and all the Zidonians. You see that? Y'all ass going. Which are gone down with the slain. With their terror they are ashamed of their might, and they lie uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword, and bear their shame with them that go down to the pit. You see that? Ezekiel 32:39. Ezekiel 32:29, 32 and 30. See that? You're gonna have your date with the lake right along with Esau. Revelation 9:11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. See that? And they had a king over them, who is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon. Right? If you know, you know. It's Revelation 2:20. And we're going to get out of here after this. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed to idols. And that's you, right? That's you eating a bag of spiders with sausage and corn, sitting around watching porn. You see that? Doing things you ought not do with somebody that's, gonna destroy you. Right? I told you she pursuing you so she can ruin you. And I know it ain't your fault you ain't been taught. So in all fairness, I'm spreading awareness. This was Jezebel, the daughter of Baal. Right? And we got bigger fish to fry, you and I. So shalom, shalom, shalom.